This is Bean to Barstool, a podcast that looks at the intersections of craft chocolate, craft beer, and other artisan drinks. My name is David Nilsson. I'm a professional drinks writer, an advanced cicerone, the author of Pairing Beer and Chocolate, and the creator and host of this show. The music for this episode is by my dear friend, indie folk musician Anna P.S. You can find out more about Anna's music in the show notes or on annapsmusic.com. You can find links and information about our guests in the show notes as well. I hope you enjoy this episode of Bean to Barstool. Hey everyone, welcome to Bean to Barstool. I just wrapped up a 4-episode series called Collaboration for Chocolate Makers, looking at different collaboration opportunities for craft chocolate makers. I think collaboration is something that is really underutilized within craft chocolate. You can catch up with the episodes and blog posts in that series on beantobarstool.com. If you go to any of the episodes or posts in that and scroll to the bottom, it's got a link tree that just has all links to everything that's in the series, so you can find it all from one spot. Today, we're looking at a case study of a specific kind of creative collaboration. This is sort of a capstone on the collaboration series. Bean to Barstool listeners will be familiar with the name Estelle Tracy. Estelle of 37 Chocolates is a craft chocolate educator extraordinaire. She is, I think, a 3-time past guest on Bean to Barstool. She's a friend of the podcast. We have her on here often. We've talked about pairing with tea, pairing with wine and beer, pairing unusual or challenging chocolate bars. Always a fun conversation. She reached out to me a few weeks back in response to this collaboration series I've been doing, letting me know about a collaboration she was involved in 2025 that she hopes to repeat again. Estelle is, as I said, a chocolate educator. She does a lot of virtual tastings, among other things, and she worked with a popular craft chocolate maker to release a limited chocolate bar and then led a virtual event to tell the story of the bar along with the maker. In our conversation today, Estelle talks about how she approached this collaboration, how it all worked behind the scenes, what the advantages were for both sides, both for her and for the craft chocolate maker, and what you need to know if you want to pursue a similar collaboration as either a craft chocolate maker yourself or as an educator or enthusiast within craft chocolate. I was originally going to look at this type of collaboration in part 4 of the series when I looked at outside the box collab ideas, but decided to let Estelle demonstrate how this can work from her own experience, and then we'll discuss a little bit more after the interview. Here's Estelle Tracy to talk about her experience as a chocolate educator collaborating with a craft chocolate maker. Estelle, welcome back to Bean to Barstool. What have you been up to?
Oh, so many things. Thank you for having me, David. It's always fun to catch up. So I've been up to a few things, and my latest endeavor is 37 Chocolates, which is the company I founded, does have a corner shop at my local coffee shop, Filter Coffee, in Kennett Square, PA, which is in Southeast PA, right at the Delaware state line. So I counted 25 different kinds of chocolate, including some sweeter things. But this is a week old, so I'm experiencing new feelings, and it's a really wonderful collaboration with Filter Coffee, which is where I started my craft chocolate journey. So it's a very full circle moment. And and I also launched the Chocolate Educator Workshop back in August, and I'm currently on roading again for August. And it's been very exciting to teach other people how to chocolate enthusiasts who might want to turn their own excitement and passion for chocolate into actually booking events. So that's been really exciting. So lots of really fun things happening right now for 37 Chocolates.
Yeah, that is cool. Well, with the educator class, I'm curious, is that mostly people who have just been enthusiasts who now want to start educating, or are you getting educators who want to improve their game?
So it's I imagine, you never know, you have something in your head, and then when you rub it against reality, you discover new things. So I've had 30 grads in 9 countries so far, and I have chocolate enthusiasts who really love chocolate, and they want to get to the other level, and they want to share their passion with other people. But I also have had chocolatiers. I find it's chocolatiers who are growing an interest in the culture and the history. And it's just making the product is not enough for them. They keep growing that curiosity, and they want to transform that into bookings. And also, I do have people who have been in chocolate for a while, and they just want to optimize their offering, perhaps revisit their pricing. This is a big conversation topic as well. And I've been surprised at how diverse, the people who came to the workshop have been. And and it's just been very exciting. And what I do is it's a live online workshop. So once I understand who the people are, like they fill an intake form, and I customize some of the content to make sure I address everybody's concerns. So it's not a pre-recording course. It's really, I try to make sure everybody gets what they need out of it. So yeah, and I got to know so many wonderful people. It's been really exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason we're talking today,
Yeah.
I know you're a frequent guest on the show. We always find
Yes.
fun stuff to discuss.
Yes.
The reason we're doing this one today is because I've been doing this collaboration series where we're talking about craft chocolate makers collaborating with different businesses. And you were involved in a creative collaboration recently. So, real briefly, introduce us to what that collab was, and then we'll talk about how it worked.
Yes. So first of all, I have loved that series. I've been like nodding vigorously throughout the whole session in my car, listening to the podcast. And yeah, I thought it would be exciting to talk about what does that look like, and how do you start, and where does the seed get planted. So we're going to go back to August of last year, 2025. I host chocolate tastings, and I give talks on chocolate for people who may find out about me for the first time. And I had an opportunity to partner with botanical gardens. And so it's a partnership with a partnership, if that makes sense. So the Longwood Gardens is the botanical garden 10 minutes from my house. They partner with a beer garden on a series where they bring in a speaker who talks about botany and food, and not always food, but botany. And it's you get a free drink, usually beer, a free drink, a little appetizer, and the people listen to the speaker. And I did a talk on the botany of chocolate, and I was thinking to myself, well, would that be fun if I were to introduce people to the concept of single varietal chocolate? For the first time. I had never done that before. This is really a level of, like geekery that is definitely not mainstream, but I always like to experiment and try things, and they may work or they may not, but at least I will know. And so I looked at the 37 chocolates inventory, and I thought, okay, I carry Askinosis, National Ariba chocolate, love the bar. It is a single varietal. And I thought to myself, well, I do have an existing relationship with Denise Castronovo of Castronovo Chocolate. I gave her a call in August, which was a great time because a lot of chocolate companies are not as swamped as in December or February, right? So I thought, why don't I give her a call and tell her about what I'm trying to do? And I asked her, hey, would you happen to have single varietal chocolate in your product line, because I'm looking for a single varietal chocolate? And she says, oh, it's funny you bring this up because I do have some Pura Blanco from Peru that I haven't molded yet. I mean, it was like early, the chocolate was that close to being ready. And also a test batch of cupulate, which is the seed of cupuaçu. Cupuaçu is a cousin of Theobroma cacao. And so it's not chocolate, but it is, ground cupuaçu seeds. And I thought that's great because I present to people what both of this product would be. I can frame them. This would be the perfect context for me to sell this product. And then I thought, well, she said that the packaging wasn't ready. And I said, hey, would you be willing to use? So she has like a blank wrapper that says factory first, stuff that she limited run batches where she put a sticker. And I said, would you be open to having these 2 bars being co-branded, Castronovo chocolate, 37 chocolates? I really wanted them co-branded versus, private label. I think that was more powerful. But I thought, that'd be great. Let me bring them over. Then I buy the chocolate, put it on social media, and my DM exploded. Oh my gosh, how can I get this? It just was because it was exclusive, and Castronovo chocolate has already this following. She's an award-winning maker, and so this sense of exclusivity and the co-branded, people just were telling me, "Oh my gosh, I want this, I want this." And for me, what was special about these bars is that they were single varietals. I was buying them as part of a presentation, and I wanted people to get exposed to the education before enjoying the chocolate. For me, this wasn't just a product. This was like, okay, this is special. This is important. And so I really thought, okay, I'm going to take a break here. I'm not going to sell this chocolate bar. I'm going to sit with this and see how we can bring this collaboration to the next level. So that is the context. And we can talk about what the next level looks like.
Perfect. Well, let's just go straight from there. So when you had the idea for making this a more formalized collaboration, what was the process of approaching Denise and kind of pitching her on what your idea was? How did that process go?
So it was really single varietal, co-branded chocolate, because those bars were not ready for the public yet. Very scrappy. And I can't emphasize enough that I have been working with Denise probably for the past 8 years. We kind of got in touch 10 years ago. There was a trust that was already there. There was also like a friendship that developed over the years. And it really started with what if, and which I think is what if do you have this? And what if we did this together? There is that sense of possibility and imagination. And also we kept things very simple, a very scrappy wrapper with with a sticker that says Castronovo and 37 chocolates. Very simple. And I think Denise had it in stock and, but not ready for prime time. Now you can find the Pura Blanco with its nice wrapper, but it was really, that was how we approached it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So to clarify, is the bar that you did in the collaboration now publicly available?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. The cupulate, I don't think is out there yet because of supply, the availability of the cupu associates, but it was definitely, it's available here first. Okay. And to give more details, the way I did it is for me, it was just for the 37 chocolates, the business bought the chocolate at wholesale price, just like any other bar. That was the financial arrangement. So it was no different than any other bar. So, and I'd like to think for Denise, she was able to get this product out a little faster because of, of this outlet. Yeah.
And was there a window of time when it was only available through you or as a collab?
I'm going to say, so I had the bar for the presentation was in September, mid-September. And we can continue going to what ended up happening. And it was available till probably the end, end of October and early November. I want to say that the Pura Blanco came out in the official one in December. That's where it was readily available. So it was 3 months early. So, and we can go back of how we ended up truly bringing the collaboration to the other level. So what happened is that when I saw the excitement for those bars, and I paused, I thought, this isn't what this product is. I don't want to just sell the chocolate like it's any other bar on the shelf. This is truly special. And when I saw how excited people were, I said to Denise, let's do something. I host chocolate tasting and I do online. I offer ticketed online tasting year round, probably every other month on average. And I did not have anything lined up in October. And I said, this is what we should do. I said, I want these 2 bars to be available for people who sign up for this online chocolate tasting. I would love for you to be a guest and explain what's so special about this chocolate. And the only way you can get those bars is if you really sign up for the whole experience. We priced it. So I had bought the chocolate, wholesale. And for the 2 chocolate bars, I priced the chocolate tasting at $67. That included 2 bars, the presentation, and the shipping. And Denise also put a listing out on her website for that. And I said, because, it's one thing to say, oh, well, for a consumer, like in the bean to bar world, we make a big emphasis on oh, our chocolate is made with transparently traded cacao and, supply chain. But this is honestly, I find that this is the minimum. And there is, I love how you also talk about, aligning with people's values. It's not because you care or you like the same thing that the values align. For me, it's what's the next level of creating more equity or really bringing money back to origin? What does that look like? So Denise is a board member of the Amazon conservation team. And I hope you get to talk to her about her amazing work, and her knowledge is absolutely incredible in conservation. And I said, how about we do this? $10 of each ticket will go to the Amazon conservation team. And this is meaningful because otherwise it's just pure consumerism. Here's my money. I want the chocolate. Move on. No. We're going to create something that actually is meaningful, is aligned with Denise's really her own value of being a member, being involved in the Amazon conservation effort. And we promoted the tasting to each of our audience, and together, so Castronovo chocolate and 37 chocolates, we managed to raise $500 for the Amazon conservation team, which represent 1 month of work for a ranger, guarding the land. So that was really exciting. And so we were able to use this excitement, this exclusive Castronovo chocolate, to do more good, like to reinvest it back, use that so that we can do something at origin in a way that was aligned. And Denise ended up sharing a lot of information from on the Pura Blanco beans, and she explained, the environment in which those beans were coming from, which is those beans are white. A lot of them are white because, she'll tell you more, but she explained the why, the scientific reason of why these beans are white. And people listened to this and I think got to enjoy the chocolate that much more because they had access to this amazing information. We talked about, some of the archaeological sites she had visited that summer. The feedback was incredible because she's a chocolate maker. She doesn't have time to talk about archaeology and Amazon conservation. What I could provide is the marketing of this experience, the audience that I had built over the years for this type of online tasting. Yeah, it was truly a collaboration between the chocolate maker who's busy making chocolate with the chocolate educator that I am, bringing her audience, doing the marketing, and the whole collaboration returning back to the Amazon. So this was really a win-win-win situation. And just talking about it now is so exciting because, it was probably my most attended chocolate tasting to date. And I felt it was truly a fruitful collaboration. And I know I can't wait to do something like this again. So
yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, toward the end there, you addressed part of what I was going to ask next, which is from a purely business standpoint, what do you feel like the advantage was for Castronovo to get to partner with an educator like yourself?
We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, Fifth Street Brew Pub in Dayton, Ohio is one of our sponsors at Bean to Barstool and Final Gravity, our print beer zine, and they just happen to be one of my favorite hometown breweries. They're one of the only cooperatively owned breweries in the country, a testament to their community focus and support. Inside a building from the 1850s in the historic neighborhood of St. Anne's Hill, Fifth Street Brew Pub offers a warm, cozy atmosphere and excellent beer and food. And you can take your favorite beers to go with their Gem City swing tops, elegant swing top bottles filled straight from the taps with regular favorites like St. Anne's Pils and Rough Gem Farmhouse Ale, or whatever their current seasonals are. I recently had a Sage Pilsner from them that was fantastic. Sage is one of those flavors that can get away from you really quickly, but they used it in a really graceful way in this beer. Loved it. If you're in the Dayton area, head over to 5th Street to hang out or grab beer to go, and if you're visiting Dayton, and you should, make sure 5th Street is on your list. Cheers.
Taking the marketing of her plate, the promotion of her plate. Denise doesn't do a lot of Zoom tasting or anything. She didn't have to worry about any of the tech. She didn't have to worry about, getting people in from the waiting room or anything like that. She was able to be that guest and worry about, this is my PowerPoint that I'm sharing. That's it, right? And, I had really promoted really heavily this tasting. And it took some of the legwork. It took something of the marketing and the promotion of her plate. And also, I know how to run a tasting. I know how to make sure people feel included. I know how to engage with the audience. So she have to use brain power, to take in questions or to make sure people were feeling comfortable asking her question, and then I was able, like all the communication, I like to send the pre-email and then the wrap-up email, and this is the money we raised together, like all those communication was able to take off her place, and she was able to focus on the making and sharing the story.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So was there any development that had to take place for the product itself, or you sounded like this was something she kind of already had available and then you came alongside with that?
Correct. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Do you see any avenue in the future for planning with her or another maker on developing something that you would have your name on?
I do. And I have thought, to be honest, about it. I have some makers in mind, perhaps some beans in mind, or at least I have a very rough concept in mind. I think that for, the chocolate, I go back to my chocolate selection, the 37 chocolate selection of filter coffee. I'm not there to push the chocolate, right? And to present the chocolate on a minute by minute basis. People who come in the shop are not necessarily chocolate enthusiasts the way you and I are, where we know our origins and we know the maker. They are looking at the chocolate and they might just buy the chocolate because of the inclusion or because, so I met somebody today who said, oh, my father-in-law is from Ecuador. And I said, look, Ecuador has an origin. Like, everybody's gonna look at those shelves based on who they are and what resonates with them, right? And Pura Blanco Peru on a chocolate shelf is a very hard sell to mainstream audience. I really highlight mainstream, right? And that being said, when you incorporate something very geeky, a very geeky chocolate bar, there truly is an audience that's exciting to hear about it. Our success, like we had about 50 people who signed up for this online tasting. So we know with the right promotion and the right chocolate maker, Castronovo has been around for so long, and she's very established as a chocolate maker. I think the trust she had built, the audience that I had, and the trust that I had with my own audience combined with these unique beans, really attracted this subset in chocolate enthusiasts. And we have the numbers show, okay, for, you can get people excited about this type of geeky product. And, it would need to be a collaboration with a very established maker as well that has its own following and trust, where people are watching for the next release. So that would be somebody that a maker that would need to have that, and might like to make the chocolate, probably who likes to make chocolate more, they like necessarily organizing a Zoom tasting and sending an email to their newsletter and on and on and on. So so I don't know, maybe somebody is going to listen to this and it's going to talk to me about their rare beans, and let's do a co-branded chocolate, But Denise is the kind of maker that, I know her bar so well. I knew that I could go, I did with my eyes closed. I knew the beans already. We had tested a Pura Blanco together in 2019. So there's a lot of things that just made sense about this collaboration.
Oh, that sounds very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like craft chocolate is kind of unique in what you're describing, because working, covering some other craft food and beverage industries like I do, one of the unique things with craft chocolate, partially because it's still relatively small as an industry, but also just something in the spirit of the industry, is that there is a very close collaboration between enthusiasts and quote unquote influencers and the actual producers. There is like a familiarity and an intimacy there that doesn't always exist between people who love or write about or run podcasts about other craft industries. So it feels like this is an opportunity that exists within craft chocolate, where you could definitely see some other educators or influencers or enthusiasts pursuing this type of thing. Are there unique things that you think those individuals or chocolate makers should consider if they're considering this type of collaboration?
I think at the core of it, there was a relationship, and they can be tricky to build because, all of us are based all over the country. We don't, we've never met in person yet, right? A lot of us are geography separated and may only occasionally, if at all, meet at like chocolate festivals, or chocolate industry events. And for the past 10 years, I have attended at least one industry event and one chocolate festival per year. And Denise and I originally connected on the internet. I had reviewed one of her bar in like late 2015, and then we run into each other at the Fine Chocolate Industry Association gathering X number of years ago. That original connection was made from the internet, and then we actually sat next to each other. And then I had made multiple regular wholesale orders over the years, and every order was like adding to the relationship. It was fueling the relationship. This is something that personally I like to do. Is I'd rather buy chocolate, because I carry 37 Chocolates has its own inventory. I would rather carry 3 bars from one maker than 3 different bars from 3 different makers, because my first company value is people first. I'm in here for the relationship. This is where you get to know people and where you can get to the point of relationship, right? So we had invested through meeting in person, online review, multiple wholesale order, and that really helped forge that relationship. And once you have that, then you can have casual conversation, because this collaboration came from a casual conversation that was based on an existing relationship. So what I would really encourage is for people listening is show up to these chocolate festivals, show up to, if you're not very active on Instagram, maybe post a few things, comment on other people's things, but most importantly, if you feel you're vibing with somebody, send them a DM, tell them, engage genuinely with people, because this is the first break to these are the first breaks to the relationship. It takes time, takes intentionality. But if you find somebody that, you just seem to vibe for whatever reason, maybe you like their point of view as a chocolate maker, you like the way they use inclusion. Can you make room in your inventory? If you happen to have wholesale accounts with vendors, can you make multiple orders, pay them on time? That's a huge one.
Yes.
And so, can you show up for them? Can you show up for them when they don't need you? Can you start first? Like, can you provide value to people? And I can guarantee you, when you make the first move of doing something and expecting nothing in return, that is going to fuel that relationship, right? Like some examples also is that personally, in what I do is that I'm very fortunate to live a few hours away, 3 hours away from, say, Mocha Origins. Every Black Friday, we try to go as a family. I mean, because my mother-in-law lives not too far from there. And I just show my face and I just look around. What happens is that, let people know you're there and say, hey, can I make time with you? I don't want to interfere, but like, if you're not too busy, would you be open to meeting? This is what I do. And I have learned so much from these casual gatherings with the staff over there. But, invest in that relationship and give before you ask anything from anyone. I think these are good rules outside of chocolate, to be honest. But, when I started like that, and it's definitely a long-term view, but I reap the benefits of having invested so heavily in going to Chocolate Festival, being a volunteer at the Fine Chocolate Industry Association at all those gatherings. I have met so many people that way. After that, it's up to you to check in, send people email. Hey, I read this, reminded me of you. Congratulations, you were quoted in this article. I think at the core of it is a relationship.
No, there's a lot of great advice in there. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Looking back at this collab, finally, is there anything you feel like you learned that you would do differently if you do this again?
Yeah, I don't think so. I can't think of anything that I would do differently. I just was like, I'm a very impulsive person. And I feel like this is one thing I did right, is I didn't, offer the bars just in exchange of money. I could have done that from the get-go, setting the bars to people who send me the DMs. I actually paused and thought and kind of regrouped with myself. I'm like, what's going on here? Is this really what I stand for? This is where, during the Chocolate Educator Workshop, I encourage every single attendee. Like, before I tell people how to do a tasting, I'm like, you're going to go to the drawing board and you're going to define those company values right now before you even have a business. Some of them already do. You're going to decide what matters to you. And when you have tough decisions to make, you're going to filter them to those values. And that's kind of, that's what I did. So that's how, like, having those values protected me from myself, to be honest, because this is not how I operate. I'm really like, oh, this sounds fun. Oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? Why did I say yes to this? And I'm like, that is the one thing that I look back, I'm like, wow, I was protected from myself. That's just the one thing. That's one thing I felt that was done right. Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, you may have noticed things in the world aren't awesome right now, and social media kind of reflects that. I built a lot of the following for Bean to Barstool and just for my own writing career on Instagram, but I've been getting significantly lower returns in terms of engagement on Instagram, and well, some of their recent changes don't have me thrilled for the future. So here are some ways to keep up with Bean to Barstool if Instagram and other social media platforms don't prove to be long-term viable solutions. If you do nothing else, sign up for the Bean to Barstool newsletter. You can do that by going to beantobarstool.com/newsletter-sign-up. That link is in the show notes. That is a weekly email newsletter that covers all the same things we cover here on the podcast. Speaking of, subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Wherever you listen to Bean to Barstool, go there and subscribe to make sure you get notifications of new episodes. If you're a proud millennial like me and you still use an RSS feeder, you can also subscribe to our blog posts, which come out at least weekly. Also, if you are still on social media but don't love Meta right now, you can check me out over on Blue Sky. I'm on there under my personal account at David Nilsson Beer, but I do post all the Bean to Barstool content over there as well. Finally, if you want to get in touch with me directly, you can email beantobarstool@gmail.com. I am not leaving Instagram anytime soon, but these are great ways to make sure you can keep up with what I have going on. Stay safe and take care of each other. Okay, great. Well, Estelle, keep us updated. If you do this again, I want to hear about your future collaborations. And anyone out there listening, if you've gotten ideas from what Estelle has shared today and you pursue something like this, I know we would both love to hear about it. So please definitely share it with us. Estelle, always fun to have you on the show. Look forward to next time already. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, David.
Estelle shares so much great advice here. You can understand why I just rolled everything on this topic into this episode, because she summarizes it so well and is so thoughtful in how she approached this collaboration with Denise at Castronovo. We've talked repeatedly in this series about maximizing what you get out of a collaboration, and that is all certainly true, but Estelle highlights how she goes out of her way to maximize what she can provide a collaboration partner or a potential collaboration partner even before any specific project is in the works. Obviously, in the professional world, we need to have boundaries and protect our time and only say yes when we can do so fully and enthusiastically. But what she's advocating for here doesn't counteract that. Her emphasis is on making sure that when she interacts with another professional in this field, she is making sure they come away from it benefiting, whether it's a big or small thing. And then when the opportunity to actually work together presents itself, they have had nothing but good experiences with her and already recognize the advantage of working with her. I was talking recently with someone about beer collaborations, and they were mentioning breweries collaborating with nonprofits and made the point that when a brewery is doing marketing around a collab of that type, they should always push the nonprofit to the front in that storytelling. The brewery will get its recognition, but by centering the collab partner, the nonprofit gets the attention they need and comes away with a very good taste in their mouths about working with that brewery. What Estelle talks about here, while it's different in terms of the phase of the collaboration that she's talking about, is very similar. This is such a rich area for potential collaboration. While craft chocolate's media ecosystem is still pretty thin at the formal level, we don't have much in way of dedicated publications or legacy media, but we do have a thriving network of educated enthusiasts and chocolate educators, and I know this can be a tough word, but influencers. Instagram is not what it used to be, obviously, but there is still a great community of craft chocolate folks on there, and a lot of these folks have dedicated followings, and they are committed to the success of craft chocolate as an industry and to their favorite makers and farms and such. Partnering with one of these folks could be a great opportunity for a craft chocolate maker, particularly when you take into account a collab of this sort is likely to be a pretty easy lift on your side. You don't have to worry about coordinating ingredients and production schedules with another producer. You're going to be handling it all in-house. So it's just it just involves planning the collab and then coordinating the marketing and storytelling. As with every type of collaboration, it is critical, of course, that you make sure your values and reputation align with the person you want to collaborate with. And you're going to need to make sure everything is clearly planned out and discussed and assigned in advance. But basically, any type of bar, any occasion could work here. With due diligence, it's pretty low risk and high reward from a collab opportunity standpoint. With that said, I've been thinking about reaching out about a collab with some makers, so maybe we'll see a Bean to Barstool collaboration at some point. On this note, I saw from J Street Chocolate that they recently did a creative collaboration with Fun Fact Co., a company that does games and posters. They collaborated on a chocolate infographic poster filled with like fun chocolate facts and stuff like that, along with a chocolate bar that went along with it. So kind of everything we talked about in part 4, looking at creative collaboration ideas. There's a world of ideas out there. Let's talk about some beer and chocolate news now before we sign off. The World Beer Cup announced its winners last week. The World Beer Cup is an international beer contest put on by the Brewers Association and is arguably the most prestigious beer competition in the world. Over 8,000 beers were entered by something like 1,500 breweries. I've got that number somewhere, but I can't remember what it was. Huge competition, very, very high level of judging involved in that, and well over 100 categories were judged. I want to spend a few minutes just to talk about some categories and styles that are relevant to us here on Bean to Barstool. So in the chocolate beer category, the gold went to Wandering Monsters Viator Obscura Triple Chocolate, made with cacao nibs from Ethereal Confections. Wandering Monsters was a recent guest here on the show. We talked all about this beer in particular because it has won numerous medals in the past. So big congratulations to them. And you can go back and listen to that episode with the brewers at Wandering Monsters to hear more about that beer and how it was brewed and how they work with cacao and other ingredients. Silver went to Whistler Brewing Whistler Winter Dunkel, using cacao nibs from Whistler Chocolate. And bronze went to Sun River Brewing Cocoa Cow, which is a milk stout with Ghana cacao nibs. Don't have a source for those. I'm assuming that is from Cho Chocolate, because if you see Ghana nibs in a beer and you don't see another craft chocolate maker's name on there, there's a high probability it's from Cho, because Cho supplies cacao nibs to BSG, which is one of the major ingredient suppliers in craft beer. In the dessert or pastry beer category, the one that I want to note here is Highwire. We had the brewers from Highwire on a couple years back to talk about their 10W40 series of pastry stouts, most of which are brewed with cacao nibs from French Broad Chocolates in Asheville. Highwire won bronze in the dessert or pastry beer category for their 10W40 coconut candy bar, so congrats to them. In the coffee beer category, gold went to River North Squirrels Just Want to Have Fun, which is a fantastic beer name. River North won multiple medals. They have won a ton of medals over the years at different competitions for chocolate and coffee beers. They work with different coffee roasters around the Denver area where they're located. I'm not sure which roaster they used for this specific beer. Silver in coffee beer went to East Village Brewing Stay Calm, which is an American lager made with Ethiopian coffee beans from Talitha Roastery, which is right down the street from them in, I want to say Sacramento, but I need to look that up. And bronze went to Carl Strauss Golden Stout. Shout out to my friends at Carl Strauss. They worked with Bird Rock coffee for this and also used vanilla beans and Ghanan cacao nibs. Again, most likely from Cho. In coffee porter or stout, gold went to Urban Roots Cafe Americano, made with the Dharma espresso roast from Temple Coffee Roasters. Silver went to River North, which we just talked about, for their Espresso Hello Darkness. And bronze went to Brink Lil Zumi. Shout out to Brink in Cincinnati, not too far from me. This beer and brewery have won just an obscene number of awards over the years. Lil Zumi is on just a tear at major awards. Inexcusably, I do not know who they are using for their coffee. I need to track down that information. But congratulations to all those winners at the World Beer Cup and the winners in all the styles. It's always fun to see breweries get to celebrate their craft. Speaking of competitions, the Craft Chocolate Challenge winners were announced recently. Congratulations to all the winners. In particular, I want to shout out Yahoa Chocolate from Honduras. We just had Elmer Pineda on the show from Yahoa a couple months back. Their anise avocado white chocolate, which we talked about in that episode extensively, won third place overall in Best of Show and won Best White Chocolate Bar outright. So huge congratulations to them. That bar has a fascinating story behind it. So go back and listen to that episode. I'm going to put in the show notes the links to all the episodes I just mentioned from these different folks who've won awards if you just are curious and want to go back and hear more about them. Very, very cool. Couple upcoming interesting things to keep an eye on. I saw that Front Porch Chocolate, who we've previously had on the show, they are doing a pairing on May 20th with Sage Rat Wine. So you can check out their Instagram page or their website. I recently had somebody request some bars and beers for me for a private pairing, and I provided them with Front Porch's Fig and Cherry Dark Chocolate Bar along with Rodenbach Grand Cru Flanders Red Ale, and they were just over the moon about it when they tried it. So that's a fantastic pairing. Couple other pairing announcements that I saw recently that look kind of fun. Rhyme and Reason Chocolate announced they're going to be doing a chocolate and cocktail pairing on May 16th, so you can check out their page to learn more about that. Indulgence Chocolatier in Milwaukee announced their summer pairing schedule. So they do like pairing classes and they're super specific. So they have like a pairing class on pairing craft chocolate with old fashions specifically, or different specific types of wine or spirits. Unfortunately, they're not doing any beer classes this summer, but they have a whole range of those. So if you're in the area, definitely check those out. And then this isn't a pairing, but I thought it was pretty cool. Beto Chocolate announced that they're doing a Titanic-inspired bar. They have a really witty newsletter, so you should sign up for that just for the fun writing in it. But the Titanic bar is inspired by the character of Rose from the movie Titanic, and it's made with rose and sea salt. So I thought that was kind of fun. DC Chocolate Society recently shared the Ultimate Chocolate Festival Survival Guide on their Instagram page, and I thought it was great. It's just kind of like a one-page primer on everything you should do to be prepared for a craft chocolate festival. And some of this stuff was applicable to beer fests or any other kind of food or beverage fest. Some of it was more specific, but I thought it was great, so definitely go check that out. And then finally, shout out to my friend Luke Owen Smith, who is also a past guest on this show. He brought to my attention that Lucid Chocolatier in New Zealand made a bar with fresh hops, and then I got their newsletter and saw that they also have a couple of different IPA-infused bars. I'm going to reach out to them and get them on the show, hopefully, because that is just too many cool things to ignore. So thanks to Luke, and hopefully we'll get them on the show soon. You heard Estelle and I talk about Mocha Origins in Pennsylvania. She also mentioned the Amazon Conservation Project that Denise at Castronovo is involved with. I'll be putting links to all that stuff in the show notes. Thanks to the sponsors for Bean to Barstool and for Final Gravity. They make this and our Final Gravity zine possible. So big shout out to all of them. And speaking of, the next issue of Final Gravity comes out in just a couple days, and you have a couple days left to pre-order for free domestic shipping, and then it just rolls over to fairly cheap shipping after that. But you can order that individually or subscribe or sign up on Patreon. It's a very cool zine telling personal, human-centered stories from the craft beer world. Thanks to Estelle Tracy for coming on the show today. Thanks to all of you for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Bean to Barstool.